matter. Our team dives deep to separate fact from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life, helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News. First with breaking news.
When shippers groan under the weight of ceaseless charges that tend to throw them off balance in the sector, Nigerian Shippers Council promptly comes to their rescue.
We will all of us work together as a team to move our country and indeed Shippers Council forward.
To get justice done without the money for any charges.
It's Tidbit, the world and the first to break the 24,000 TEU mark.
Allah Inland Drive port is born again. Finally, the eagle has landed.
The essence of a dry port is to decongest the port and make the shipping services nearer to the shippers.
Join us for a smooth sail on your favorite maritime program, The Shipper, brought to you by Nigerian Shippers Council, Nigeria's port economic regulator.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Hello and welcome to Labor Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we'll be focusing on the functionalities of the National Industrial Court and how accessible it can be to workers and employers of labor. We also have news stories for you. We will be right back.
Since the introduction of the tax reform bill by the present administration, there have been mixed reactions from Nigerians on whether the reform will translate to economic success or not. The committee in charge of this proposed policy has, however, been relentlessly making efforts to sensitize Nigerians on its economic benefits, especially the aspects where it will favor the masses. Speaking during the launching of the Southwest Compressed Natural Gas Transport in Ibadan, President of the NLC believes the policy will indirectly put burdens on the masses and needs to be revisited.
Besides, and that is central, is the fact that when they talked about maybe people earning about 800, and you and I know that in the public service, people have gone beyond maybe level 2, 3. It then means almost all workers in Nigeria will be affected. Because if you take a baseline of 70,000 a month, which nobody is supposed to pay, but there's nobody on level 1, step 1. That's it, 70,000. So by the time you get to where people are, everybody has been caught up with the 800 or 1 million bracket. So this tax did not exclude Nigerian workers. So, and that's areas that people had been consulted, and we are saying that we need to talk. That's the whole point, so that we tell you where it is hurting us. And that equally brings some the issue of indirect taxation.
It is my pleasure.
The CNG buses were given to the NLC by the federal government as part of its efforts to reduce the cost of transportation for Nigerians due to the impact of subsidy removal on petrol price. The 10 buses distributed to the Southwest is expected to render interstate services to passengers across the region.
When we embrace this CNG, then we have more disposable income to really deal with. We have to thank you very much for putting this one at the national front burner. Before you can talk about fairness.
Earlier, the Labour Union had a lecture on the tax reform bill, which provided an overview of what it entails and the possible ways forward in its implementation.
Ordinarily, there shouldn't be reason for having a dialogue on it like this if the federal government had been transparent on that particular aspect. People are very apprehensive, either it's going to favor us or not. What are the packages? What are the things inculcated into the whole idea? Take, for instance, the way our president managed Lagos in those days. People are like, are we not going to double or multiple taxation, whereby you buy everything you buy, you're going to pay tax on it. So that's what made people to be having some phobia as regards the philosophy. But as it is now, by going through the nitty-gritty of what it is going to entail, it's going to help the masses, the workers. We're going to embrace it totally. But if we sense if we smell any rat daring, we will definitely oppose it. It's a good thing. But the idea that go to developed countries where they pay tax on everything, in that particular state, we can't compare the socio-economic status of the citizen daring with what we have here in Nigeria. You can't tell somebody a worker who finds it difficult to have a square meal in a day that you still want to tax such. But if they really mean business that is going to help the masses, it's a good thing. But we have not really digested the whole thing to know what and what it entails personally. So until I have it digested, studied, I'll be able to say either it's good, especially for the masses, or not.
By my opinion, the tax reform bill is more or less like a sugar-coated poison, especially to the entire workforce of Nigeria. And it's more or less like you are giving from the right and you are taking from the left. We have looked critically into the bill, and there are a lot of disparity and irregularity in that bill, as it favors some political class and some certain corporate organizations at the detriment of the entire workforce. I think with this symposium that is going on, the position of the national leadership of Nigerian Labour Congress will surely be known and be spelled out today or tomorrow to the entire Nigerians to see the reason why they have to support the Nigerian Labour Congress in ensuring that the shortcomings that is embedded in that tax reform is revisited before it is passed into bill. And I must say that this is a very good opportunity for the entire leadership, and I must give it back to the leadership of Nigerian Labour Congress under the steering of Comrade Joe Ajaero and our General Secretary, Emmanuel Gwaja. They are doing wonderfully well by putting up this particular, symposium, especially for the entire Nigerians to see, how far we have gone. Because in most cases, the Nigerian populace will always complain that we only fight for the right of workers. See, this one does not affect only workers; it affects every Nigerian, and in that wise, kudos should be given to them.
On the Profile Interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the President of the National Industrial Court. He tells me about the functionalities of the National Industrial Court, vis-a-vis the challenges it's faced with, and also how accessible it can be to workers and employers of labor. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Then should I add maybe finally? Because I had to write a lot of letters and get approvals. But either ways, I'm happy to have this conversation with you. Can you bring us up to speed on what has been the activities of the National Industrial Court in the last 1 year? Would you be able to share with us how many cases that the National Industrial Court has been able to hear and deliver judgment on? Also, another thing of concern will be that from your observation, would you say that disputes between employers and employees have reduced, or has it increased?
Actually, at the last legal year celebration, which we had in October, I was able to report that out of over 7,000 cases, we were able to dispose of over 1,000, which meant that we had a little over 6,000 cases pending. This has been the trend because 2 years ago, when we had the legal year in 2022, we had a similar figure in terms of the pending cases. So on average, one would say that it's a fairly constant thing. The level of increase has been marginal, most likely because people are beginning to settle their disputes out of the court system, which is also good for the justice system, because particularly for us in employment relationships, the key thing is how employers and employees can settle their differences amicably without the necessity of the adjudicatory functions of the courts. This is principally because industrial relations in the workplace is built on trust and interpersonal relationship. So it's advisable really that if disputes can be settled by other than litigation, that should be pursued, because ultimately that is better for workplace relationships.
From the perception from most workers that I've interacted with over time, there is this perception that they have that getting justice at the court generally takes time. How would you react to this?
Generally, the legal process is not a very fast one. And this is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. It's a global problem. We may not be able to know what obtains outside of Nigeria, but because we are familiar with what is obtainable in Nigeria, we tend to come to the conclusion that yes, the cases take too long. In certain instances, yes, the cases will take long because of the complexities of the kind of cases involved. If you look at cases like chieftaincy tussles, land matters, the complexities involved, and even certain kinds of criminal cases, the complexities involved are such that it will take a while for a case to start and come to conclusion. But for us at the NIC here, in the majority of cases, you will find that the cases, on average, last between a year and two. Of course, there are cases that go beyond that, and very few cases have gone up to 5 years, principally because of factors that are sometimes outside the control of everybody. But that in itself is something that we are looking into. We have systems and procedures that encourage the completion of cases quickly. Take, for instance, the trial on error, the trial on record procedure, which allows parties to dispense with things like cross-examination because the matter is essentially documentary, and simply go and address the court and ask for a verdict. We also came up with practice directions which hope to also make parties, for instance, mark documents before they are filed, just so that we can reduce trial time. I remembered vividly in one of the cases I did some few years back, spending up to 2 hours just marking documents in court. Such a thing has a way of slowing down trial time. So we came out with these practice directions. But even when you do all of this, sometimes those who utilize it don't even see the justification in it. Just some few hours ago, I got a summons. A lawyer has decided to go to court to say the practice directions we did is null and void, and is asking a court of coordinate jurisdiction to pronounce on it. Those are the kind of things we see. People do not look at the essence, because for employment dispute, time is of the essence. Labor disputes generally, time is of the essence. I always like to give the example of disputes over collective agreements, for instance. On average, majority of court collective agreements have a lifespan of 2 years. So if there is a dispute in relation to that collective agreement and the dispute comes to court, the worst case scenario is that that case shouldn't last for more than 2 years. Because if it does last for more than 2 years, it means by the time you are given a verdict on that case, the collective agreement that gave rise to it would have been outdated, because it would have been supplanted by a new one. So it tells you how much it is that time is of the essence. So we factored this in and decided that we're going to bring out these practice directions. But unfortunately, you have quarters who think things like that shouldn't be. So they've gone to court. Only God knows when it will finish. So those who complain about cases taking too long should remember that even as a court, we can be defendants in the same system that people are complaining about.
The National Industrial Court held its 2024-2025 legal year, and the theme of discourse was labor justice and public interest. Can you bring us up to speed on why your lordship chose this theme for the 2024-2025 legal year?
Labor justice runs through most of our legal year themes. This year we decided to zero it down to labor justice and the public interest. I'm sure you are familiar with the general bashing the judiciary is facing. So we felt it wise that we get some kind of feedback, because in the assessment of performance of courts, one factor scholars have always advised is that you get feedback from those who use your service. So we wanted that kind of feedback, and so we chose Mr. Segun Adeni, one-time spokesman to President Yaradua when he was alive and was president, and currently editor of This Day. He is not a lawyer, so we chose him to come and give the lecture because we wanted something objective, something dispassionate, just so that we know those areas that we are doing right, we know how to continue in doing right, and those areas in which we are not doing right, to see how we can change. And of course, the reception of the lecture was quite outstanding. And I also used the opportunity to also find out the impression of particularly users of the court as can be found in social media. So I asked our person who works our internet to get me what the reactions of people were on the social media, what they say about the court. You'll be surprised what we got. We barely could get a negative comment. In fact, I had to specifically ask him to get me samples of comments that were negative about what we were doing. And incidentally, he just couldn't find any. Most who commented with what we do, how we do it, the speed with which we do it. You could hear things like lawyers saying simple things like, I filed a case and within weeks I was served with a hearing notice without my having to go back and find out what is happening. So little things like that matter a lot and go a long way in allowing people to agree or to understand and be happy with what you're doing. That is not to say that there are no rooms for improvement. Of course, we are constantly trying to improve. So, the choice of the topic public interest, we were particularly concerned that labor justice has to be one for which the public to which it relates must be able to come to terms with. And that was the reason why we had to choose that particular team. And I must say that on the same day of the lecture, we had a bar bench forum, and the general interaction between the bench and lawyers, particularly those who practice here, was one of mutuality, and we were able to do some questions and answers. We were able to interact and at least explain areas of interest that questions were asked and why we did certain things the way we did it. It's something we have been doing for now, blending the bar bench forum within the context of the legal year celebration, just so that those of us who are on this side can interact with the lawyers and then we can get feedback as to how we are doing, then areas where we can improve and things like that. So the critical factor was for us to get some kind of feedback on our own work.
Would you say that it's important for our laws to be updated, especially when it has to do with compensation? The figures that we have according to law is not in tandem with the current realities of life economically. What would be your observation as regards this development, which has been lingering on for a while?
Incidentally, when it comes to compensation in law, we call it damages, which is the primary form of compensation that the common law bequeathed to us. When we come to it, the sad part is that except for instances where claims are in foreign currency, which then means that exchange rate, the factor of inflation in exchange rate and things like that can be factored in when determining what to award at the end of a successful case. Unfortunately, for all other cases, the law does not allow for inflation to be factored in. So it's not just a problem of the National Industrial Court, it's a general problem within our legal system. And the solution may just lie with legislative intervention. Because if you file a case 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago and you claim a certain amount of money, if the decision on that case is being given today, you can't get more than what you asked for. So it will still be that same amount of money you asked for, even though the inflationary trends would have devalued the figure. 4,000 naira 30 years ago is certainly not the same as 4,000 naira today. Yet the law will tell you, because you claim 4,000, it is 4,000 you will get, no matter how long it took to resolve the issue. So the only solution in areas like this would predominantly lie with legislative intervention, because I'm not too sure, except if, of course, the Supreme Court steps in and now rules that courts can now factor in inflation in determining the amount to award as damages in particular cases. But other than that, we are stuck with the law as it is at the moment, which is that inflation does not account, is not to be factored in when determining how much to give by way of claims, because the rule is that courts are not Father Christmas. They give only what is asked. They can reduce, but they can't give over and above what was asked for. So if you prayed for 10,000 naira, you cannot get more than 10,000 naira, even if the value of the 10,000 naira you claim had been written off by inflation.
Technology is what is driving the world of work across the globe. would you say that the National Industrial Court has been able to deploy the use of technology, maybe when it comes to research, or maybe when it comes to delivering judgment? And is there anything that the Court of Law is also doing towards ensuring that if technology has been deployed already, is not being abused?
Since the era of COVID, when courts were permitted to start virtual hearing, for instance, we took it up, and we are doing a lot of virtual hearing now. I have some set of judges who oversee divisions where cases are not many, and cases of those divisions are actually being heard virtually today. For instance, Lokoja, Mina, Sokoto, the cases coming from these divisions are being heard from Abuja, but virtually, partly because of the transport problems, having to shuttle, the security issues, and so on. So I gave directive that the judges involved should take the cases virtually. But that aside, we've tried as much as possible to build in technology into what we are doing. And again, you would find, for instance, that simple things like availability of the course list online, hearing notices being served through emails, phones, WhatsApp, and things like that are now daily occurrences here. If for any reason a judge cannot sit, there's usually a notice sent out electronically to the parties involved, and so on and so forth. So we've built it in. In fact, right now we've embarked on a project to expand the digitalization of the court itself, just so that we can reach the point where even processes can be filed electronically. We are working on it right now. So we have imbibed digitalization up to the point and the extent to which our resources and the structures can accommodate. And fortunately, we got some funding from NJC to expand it. And that's what we are working on. By the time we are through, it should be possible for people to be able to file processes online without having to come physically. And we hope from that point to keep improving.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.
Happy New Year, everyone!
May this new year bring you joy.
Here's to a fresh start, everyone.
May this year bring you love, laughter, and happiness.
Happy New Year!
Wishing you a year of growth and success.
Happy New Year! A new year, a new start, way to go.
Just as sports is exciting to fans, may the new year excite you all.
Wishing you a memorable and joyful new year.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Yes, wishing you a year of growth and success.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Here's wishing you a profitable new year.
Cheers to an oven fresh year 2025.
Happy New Year once again. I wish you well.
Hello, NIDA Impact lovers. We have good news for you. In the quest to keep Nigerians abreast of the happenings in the digital space, NIDA Impact, a flagship TV program of the National Information Technology Development Agency, is now showing here on Television Continental. It is, as always, educative, informative, and innovative. NIDA Impact. Keep a date with NIDA Impact, your guide to a digital Nigeria.
Government College in Umuahia, Nigeria.
In 1948, Achebe won a scholarship to the University of Ibadan to study medicine, but after a year, he changed his major to writing. After graduation in 1953, he became a script writer for the Nigerian Broadcasting Service (NBS), eventually becoming the head programmer for the discussion series. In 1956, he visited London for the first time to take a training course with the BBC. On returning, he moved to Enugu and edited and produced stories for the NBS.
Live from our studio in Lagos, Nigeria, this is TVC News at 1. Our top stories. Nigerian Air Force expresses concern over reports of civilian deaths during airstrikes in terrorist hideouts in Zamfara State. Begins investigation. Court grants bail applications filed by Naomi Shilenko-Ola, Oriyomi Hamzat, Abdullahi Fasasi to the tune of 10 million naira each, following deadly stampede at Children Fun Fair. And outside Nigeria, at least 24 confirmed dead in Los Angeles wildfires as returning winds threaten to undo progress. Thanks for joining us on TVC News this hour. We are monitoring developments in Zamfara State, where the Nigerian Air Force says it is concerned over reports that is airstrikes on terrorist hideouts, and that's including areas linked to notorious bandit leader Bello Turji, led to the death of civilians. An investigation has also been launched into the incident. About 20 persons were killed in Tunga Kara and Jangeme in Zurumi and Maradun local government areas following an airstrike in the area. The incident happened when troops went on the trail of some armed bandit groups sighted in the area. Governor of Zamfara State, Dauda Lawal, has commiserated with families and victims of the civilian casualties, who his spokesman, Sulaiman Idris, says were members of the local vigilante who were mistakenly identified as the bandits fleeing from Gida Makera in the Boko district of Zurumi local government. Governor Lawal adds that the latest intervention by the military has significantly degraded the operational capacity of the bandits and has shown the commitment of the Nigerian Air Force to protect civilians. You'll recall that troops of Sector 2 of the Joint Task Force Northwest Operation killed 25 bandits and rescued 7 kidnapped victims during an operation in Shinkafi local government on Saturday. Coordinator of the Joint Media Coordination Center of Operation Fasanyama, Lieutenant Colonel Abubakar Abdullahi, mentioned that 18 bandits also sustained injuries during the raid on the bandit hideouts linked to wanted terrorist Bello Turji.
They received another report that their bandits were mobilizing to go to another village. So on their way to that village, they sighted a group of people on motorcycles, and that was the tactics, the strategy that the bandits usually adopt while committing those crimes. So the Air Force hit target, and unfortunately, it was the local vigilantes that were hit. There is immediate support now for the victims, especially those that were injured, because there are many people that were injured and they were taken to the hospital. So the government is extending the support to those injured local vigilantes. And for the families, the government will see what it will do, because the governor has promised that we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that we reach out to the family and with all the necessary support. They received another...
And that was the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Zamfara State, Suleiman Idris, who was on TVC News at 10, where he provided more details on the airstrike and the circumstances surrounding it. Now, let's expand on this further as we bring in the probe on this by the Nigerian Air Force, as we bring in the former spokesman of the Nigerian Air Force, Air Vice Marshal Adesonya, who joins us via Zoom. He retired, rather, who joins us via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us.
The pleasure is mine.
All right, so I understand that the governor of Zamfara State did highlight the efforts and the victories of the military in terms of dealing with bandits, across several states in the north. But when you add that there have been several airstrikes on civilian, and we've recorded civilian casualties, put that side by side with the victories. I mean, what do you make of it?
Okay. Thank you for inviting me to this program. And like I'll always say, anytime that we have the loss of innocent civilians, it's always tragic, and it's certainly not what every well-meaning Nigerian would be happy to hear, and certainly not anything to be celebrated. I've seen captions such as accidental airstrike. I've seen the statement from the Zamfara state government, and I've also seen the one from the Nigerian Air Force. Putting those two statements together, it's clear that in this case, what happened was collateral damage and not accidental airstrike. It will have been accidental airstrike if, in this case, there was an airstrike that was not targeted at a military objective. But on a positive note, we learned that there has been a great decimation of the capacity of the bandits and terrorists in that region. Unfortunately, it is also accompanied with loss of a civilian lives. It's a collateral damage, certainly not something to be expected, not something to be welcome rather, but it is not unusual in some instances, which is why the Geneva Convention provides for the possibility of collateral damage. The most important thing is that whenever we have the unfortunate loss of civilian lives during such airstrikes, those losses should be...
If I may come in here, just to quickly come in here, and I know you're saying that it is accidental, it is a collateral damage and all, but I mean, when it is one too many, we've had Tundumbiri, we had the one on Christmas Day in Sokoto, and now in Zamfara State, and the response from the military is always the same. Investigation is ongoing. But how do you, because we haven't heard about anybody being, any military personnel being, facing any sort of disciplinary action because of this. So how can this be mitigated in and ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Okay, it's important to look at each case on its merit. Focusing on the Zamfara incident, clearly it was an obvious issue arising from lack of coordination, from what I can see. Ordinarily, before the Air Force undertakes its airstrikes, it relies on credible intelligence. It confirms this intelligence with its intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft. Now, there are measures that could be taken to minimize collateral damage. I'll just quickly go through them and also let you know what, from the reports we received, the Air Force has done and what it perhaps has not done. In the area of credible intelligence, it receives credible intelligence. In the area of confirming that intelligence, it uses its intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft to confirm. In the area of using precision strike capability, the Nigerian Air Force has acquired the Super Tucano, and it also has precision munitions on its unmanned aerial vehicles. Now, another critical element is that of community engagement. So in this case,
and the military has said that, apologies for butting in, but we're out of time, and I know that that's one of the things that military personnel and the police have always talked about, engaging communities. Thank you so much for your time. Former spokesperson of the Nigerian Air Force, retired Air Vice Marshal Olatokunbo Adesonya. Thank you for your time.
It's all right then. Have a wonderful day.
And the breaking news just in is that the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, has been impeached. He was removed for gross misconduct and abuse of office by 90% of the lawmakers. He has been replaced by Mojisola Miranda from Apapa 1 constituency. There is heavy security presence in the State House of Assembly. This is a developing story, and we'll bring you details as we have it. But what we know now is that the Lagos State Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, has been impeached and also replaced. And let's turn attention to Ondo State, where the police command has arrested 25 persons in connection with the recent cold clashes in Owo. The command also paraded a man accused of killing his 14-year-old son in the Ajawa Akoko area of the state. Senior reporter Ayondeji Morade reports.
A week after a deadly court clash in Owo, which claimed 4 lives, the Ondo State Police Command has apprehended 25 suspects linked to the incident. Among those arrested for the Owo clash, 6 suspects, including 2 women, were paraded before journalists. They were arrested at a hideout where police detectives recovered a double-barrel shotgun, a cut-to-size firearm, and 2 spent cartridges. The State Commissioner of Police, Wilfred Afolabi, said the suspects are currently under investigation.
We were able to identify the locations of the suspects. And in an operation led by the area commander, a combined team led by the area commander Akure, they stormed the location, and in the course of the operation, 6 suspects were apprehended. During the screening of the suspect, it turned out that 2 of them were on the wanted list of the police.
3 suspects were arrested for shop breaking, thefts, and unlawful possession of firearms. 1 suspect was also apprehended for allegedly killing his son and burying him in a shallow grave.
And like I promised, if they enter the hole, we'll follow after them into the hole. So again, I reiterate that all these bad boys find another place to relocate to, because the command's resolve is that we are not going to spare any one of you.
The police commissioner called on residents of the state to remain vigilant and promptly report any suspicious moves to the police and other security agencies. Ayodele Moradeyo, TVC News, Akure.
You're watching TVC News at 1. We'll take a break now and return with more stories in a moment. Stay with us.
Show off your best skin this Harmattan with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion. Now with 5-in-1 complete care. The deeply nourishing formula prevents your skin from drying out. With precious cocoa butter and deep moisture for smooth and healthy looking skin. Love your skin this Harmattan with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa 5-in-1 Complete Care.
Good morning, Marina Station and all the passengers.
efficient, it's comfortable.
This development will go a long way in reducing congestion and emission.
The trains are a long-term solution to Lagos traffic challenges.
This is where we take the final, decisions on policies, programs of government. I will have to ensure that, the narration of Lagos as a PLC is taken very, very seriously.
This is a major pedestrian bridge linking Oyinbo here to Apapa Road over there.
With this overpass, we are providing what we call permanent solution.
Thanks for staying with us on TVC News at 1. A reminder of our top stories. Nigerian Air Force expresses concern over reports of civilian deaths during airstrikes in terrorist hideouts in Zamfara State. Begins investigation. Court grants bail applications filed by Naomi Shilekuola, Oriyomi Hamzat, Abdullahi Fasasi to the tune of 10 billion naira each, following deadly stampede at Children Fun Fair. And outside Nigeria, at least 24 confirmed dead in Los Angeles wildfires as returning winds threatening to undo progress. Let's now turn our attention to Oyo State, where High Court in Ibadan, presided over by Justice KB Olaoyin, moments ago granted bail to bail applications filed by Naomi Shilekuola, Oriyomi Hamzat, and Abdullahi Fasasi. Mr. Hamzat is the founder of a popular Ibadan-based radio station at Gidigbo FM, while Mr. Fasasi is the principal of the Islamic High School, Basharu, Ibadan, where 35 children died at a Children Fun Fair organized by the Wings Foundation, run by the former wife of the Oni of Ife, Naomi Shilekuola. The court had on the 7th of January reserved its ruling on the bail applications. Chief Magistrate Olabisi Ogunkomi on the 24th of December last year ordered them to be remanded at Agodi Correctional Facility, pending advice from the Department of Public Prosecution of the Oyo State Ministry of Justice. Mrs. Naomi, Mr. Hamzat, and Mr. Fasasi are facing trial on a 4-count charge which borders on conspiracy, acceleration of death, negligent acts causing harm, and omitting to provide adequate security and medical facilities. And still in Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde has presented the staff of office and certificate to the new Alaafi of Oyo, Oba Abimbola Owode, formally confirming him as the 46th Alaafi. The ceremony took place earlier today at the Government House, Agodi, Ibadan, with dignitaries, traditional rulers, government officials, and Oyo indigenes in attendance. Governor Makinde says he's optimistic that the Alaafi-elect would preserve the cultural and historical heritage of the Oyo Kingdom. He emphasized the significance of the Alaafi's role as more than just a traditional leader, but as a custodian of the kingdom's rich history and traditions. Makinde expressed confidence that Oba Akim Abimbola Owode would lead with wisdom, integrity, and a commitment to unity. Prince Owode succeeds late Oba Lamidi Olayiwola Adeyemi III, who ruled Oyo Kingdom for 50 years. The new Alaafin pledged to prioritize the development of the kingdom and welfare of its people. Away from Oyo State, but we're staying in the southwest, Governor of Osun State Ademola Adeleke has emphasized the need for Nigerians, particularly youth, to embrace digital advocacy as a tool for achieving the sustainable development goals. The governor was speaking at the Change Champion Conference in Osogbo. We have details in this report.
The conference serves as a platform to inspire and empower young people in their effort to actualize the sustainable development goals, particularly through digital advocacy and literacy. It brings together stakeholders from various sectors, all committed to exploring innovative approaches for achieving sustainable development.
Leveraging on recent technologies, please, if you want to be a change champion, you must also be open to knowledge. Knowledge must be your desire, because the world keeps moving. It keeps moving. Today, one platform is up. Before you know it, another platform has come up.
But this conference and this project want to educate the youth to know that there are better ways of ensuring that they advocate for better changes in the society. It is not only when they go on the streets that they can get listened to by the government and the stakeholders.
The project coordinator, Faisal Oluwakemi, stressed the importance of young people embracing digital innovations to drive their businesses forward.
Of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that we can leverage on all those things to achieve the sustainable development goals that we've been clamoring for. If every individual, every youth leverage on that with what they know how to do with their crafts, the world will be a better place. That change we are clamoring for, the change that we are looking for, we can always get it.
The state governor urged Nigerians to adopt digital platforms to promote sustainable policies and actions at both local and global levels.
For us all as citizens and individuals to key in to the global revolution in the digital ecosystem. The world is a global village, and it is imperative that in the 21st century we are, that whatever we are doing, we must take into cognizance the digital revolution that is going on around the world.
The event also featured a panel session where speakers encouraged participants to expand their knowledge and sharpen their skills to achieve their personal and professional goals. The theme of the conference is leveraging digital advocacy to achieve sustainable development goals. Rafiu Hamid, TVC News, Osogbo.
Remember the frightening stories that artificial intelligence has come to steal our jobs, flood the internet with fake news, and outsmart us to rule the world. Now, well, despite these concerns, technology and AI is worming its way even into every industry, leaving transformation in its path, and broadcast journalism is no exception. Here is a peek into its history, challenges, and the way forward.
It is often said that journalism brings the world closer through non-stop information. But when powered by technology, the world resides at one's fingertip. Such is the case with the broadcast journalism landscape, where digital broadcasting enables news to be shared faster, as the industry now operates with a computer mind capable of transmitting information to thousands of people at a blink. With the evolving digital broadcasting, the industry has now gone through a series of changes right from when radio was first introduced. Let's rewind to when broadcasting was first introduced in Nigeria. Its existence in Nigeria dates back to December 1932, when the British Colonial Council introduced radio broadcasting and appointed the Post and Telegraph Department to oversee the operation in Lagos, where it started broadcasting station. Then, Lagos received only ordinary BBC services transmitted through unstable shortwave called Radio Distribution System and operated as Radio Nigeria. After 1934, the station eventually devised a system that allows it to distribute the BBC news with nothing about local content. It was until 1951, when the Nigerian Broadcasting Service was launched, that one or two local items entered Nigeria's program, ending Radio Nigeria operations. For television, the Nigeria Television Authority (NTA) was not just suddenly empowered with the sole responsibility of undertaking television broadcasting in Nigeria. It came about from Western Nigeria Television. Thereafter came the dawn of the internet age, unlocking social media platforms that enable live stream and real-time interaction that extend reach to wider audience beyond traditional channels' capacity. Just as an object that reflects light casts a shadow, the benefits that new technologies brought to the broadcasting industry come with dark sides, such as the spread of fake news and manipulated data. Amid the changing trajectory, raging challenges and rapid advancement of electronic media, it is clear that broadcasting will continue to evolve and adapt to new technology and consumer preferences, and it will shape our culture, connect us in ways we never thought possible. But technology and its presence in all spheres of human activity can also be the seed waiting to destroy the very fabric that sewed the society together if it's not used responsibly.
But the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation has established a dedicated unit to oversee the direct disbursement of funds to Nigeria's 774 local government areas. This move aligns with the planned implementation of financial autonomy for the third tier of government, set to commence this month. The Federation Account Allocation Committee is scheduled to hold its first meeting of this year this Wednesday, during which operational details for direct fund allocations to LGAs are expected to be a key agenda item as per the nation. The Internal Ministry Committee established to enforce the Supreme Court judgment on direct revenue allocation to councils has reportedly made significant progress. Now, for more on the move to directly disburse allocation to the local councils, former chairman of Karo local government area, Nasarawa State, Akala Samuel, joins me from Abuja studio. Good to have you join us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So let me get your thought on this. Direct disbursement will begin anytime soon, and the committee said it is at work. The structures are already in place, and there is nothing to worry about. What do you make of it?
Well, this issue has been on the front burner since the judgment of the Supreme Court, and Nigerians have been highly expectant of the implementation of the Supreme Court judgment. So hearing that there is a team that has been set up by the federal government to ensure that funds are distributed directly to 774 local government, though it's late, but for me it's a cheering news, because I hold an opinion that you do not need to negotiate the implementation of a court judgment, no less a court than the Supreme Court. So whatever that has been the cause of the delay up to this time, that we hear that the federal government says a team to distribute this fund this month, we hope that the federal government is able to ensure that this distribution kickstarts this month to further give hope to Nigerians, because this is one activity and one exercise that would retune the local economy and ensure that the third tier of government begin to face issues of security. In your report, you have seen that a better part of your report captures a lot of security challenges across our nation. And I believe, as a former local government chairman, there are homegrown mechanisms that local government areas can develop at their domain to tackle insecurity at community level. So until the local government is empowered, they will not be able to carry out some of these functions. So I believe that if these funds get to them by the end of this month, we will be able to see that hope coming to life again in our communities.
We understand that this interministerial committee is also looking to check the actions of some governors who they say are undermining democratically elected local government chairmen. This was always going to be a problem. In some cases, it is going to be the local government chairman working with these governors, because sometimes you find that it's the same party, you know, across board, who are elected across board in this local government. How can this be checked in a way that ensures that development actually trickles down to the grassroots?
Well, for now, it is true that the elections of local government chairmen in Nigeria are heavily determined by their governors. But you see, the fact is that once you are elected local government chairman, the ball is now in your court to ensure that you discharge your responsibility in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So What we yearn for now is for these funds to get to these local government councils. Recall that the judgment is that funds will only get to local government councils with elected officials. So if you have elected officials, this fund gets to you. So when this fund gets to you, you do not need the approval of the governor to be able to apply them. So for chairmen who want to defer to their governors because they were instrumental in bringing them to power, maybe to determine how these funds to be utilized. Well, it will now be at their own peril to have to face the consequences of those actions, because the local government has a legislative council that will appropriate these funds for them to utilize. They also have an executive council to implement these funds. They also have various departments within their various local government councils to be able to manage and apply these funds effectively. So I do not think that they need any approval of the governor to utilize their fund. And for the governors that try to interfere in the affairs of the local government, I think the time is up. The governors should please, as a matter of national commitment and a matter of national service, hands off the local government and allow it to function in line.
Thank you so much for your time. We'll see how this plays out. This is going to be implemented this month. Thank you. The former chairman of Karo Local Government Area, Akala Samuel.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, we return to the developing report from the Lagos State Assembly, where Mojisola Lasbat Miranda has been sworn in as the first female speaker. Lasbat Miranda, who represents Apapa 1 constituency, took over from impeached Mudashiru Obasa, who ceased to be speaker a few hours ago. Mr. Obasa was unanimously impeached for gross misconduct and abuse of office by more than 90% of the lawmakers. There is heavy security presence in the State House of Assembly. This is a developing story. We'll bring you details as soon as we have it. But let's bring you that details now as we bring in our correspondent, Bimbo Agbebi, who joins me on the news. Bimbo, what more can you tell us? Lagos State House of Assembly, about Lagos State House of Assembly, which now has its first female speaker. Tell us what you know about her.
All right, Precious, Honorable Mojisola Lasbat Miranda, of course, the lawmaker in the House of Assembly, who, of course, came into office in the year 2015, and she represents Apapa Constituency 1 and the legislature, and she is presently in her third term in the office. She has also served as the Chairman House Committee on Women Affairs in the House of Assembly before she became the Deputy Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. And just about an hour ago, we heard that she is now the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly.
And maybe you have been covering the House of Assembly for a really long time now. Did you see this impeachment coming?
I wouldn't say I saw it coming, but what I can say is that, of course, like you rightly said earlier, it's the first time the Lagos State House of Assembly will be having the first female speaker. Something I would say that some female lawmakers, past female lawmakers, have always a height. Past female lawmakers, you know, have always prayed to attain, and it's happening for the first time in January 2025. Let me also tell you that in the history of the House of Assembly, we've had only two past female deputy speakers who, of course, were Honorable Bola Badmos, who came into office in August 2009, and Honorable Fumi Tejosho, who also became the deputy speaker in 2007. But then it's happening for the first time in the history of the House of Assembly. This is the first time we'll be having a first female speaker. I mean, for many of the lawmakers, or do I say for past female lawmakers in the House of Assembly, this I want to believe can be described as heartwarming news for them.
We understand that there's heavy presence of security at the Assembly now. Bimbo, I know you're staying on this story for us. Bring us updates when you get them. Correspondent Bimbo Agbebi, rather, you know, giving us updates on the situation at the Lagos State House of Assembly. All right, let's take a break now. When we return, we'll bring you more stories. Stay with us.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, we uncover the secrets of the financial world.
We analyze the stock market, shares, bonds, and the thrilling world of cryptocurrency.
Facts matter. Our team dives deep to separate fact from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life, helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News. First with breaking news.
You're watching Beyond 100 Days with Nifemi Oguntoye. President Tinubu, since he assumed office,
they are on our way to progress.
6 out of the 8 APC federal lawmakers.
I have a movement structure that's going to take back our party in Enugu State. Because this one I'm seeing is just by moonlight. It's not working.
So I'm wondering what you think, or who you think can stop him now.
He doesn't own the party.
One of the causes of inflation is because people cannot go to the farm.
The government still needs to do more so that people can eat.
I believe what clamoring for is more responsible use of social media. Not that people just go in there and think that they can say anything to anybody.
Tinubu is not one who believes in the simple. I mean, he wants to get it done. He will face it. He will get it done.
Yes, the president, from inception of his administration, focused squarely on diversifying the economy and driving in investments to cushion the effect of everything that we've seen, ranging from COVID-19 to the global commodity shocks, global financial crisis, and all of that.
I was privileged to have worked under a governor who believed in the system, who also built up the system, and I'm going to do same.
All right, that's our show today, everyone. Thanks for being a part of it.
Business and see what the figures are looking like this Monday. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria reveals that its loans to banks surged to 1.2 trillion naira in the first 7 days of 2025, indicating a liquidity squeeze in the sector. This represents the highest in 5 years and a 61.3% jump from 114.2 billion naira reported in the same period in 2021. Analysts attributed the rise in demand for the loans to liquidity constraints, monetary policy tightening, economic challenges, and regulatory pressures. Head of Financial Institutions Ratings at Augusta Consulting, Mr. Ayokunle Olubumi, explained that the contractionary measures of the CBN have increased the borrowings of the banks from the Apex Bank. Meanwhile, Boeing International Corporation says it is ready to assist airlines in Nigeria in accessing adequate aircraft insurance coverage through partnership with buoyant lessors and global financiers. Boeing Sales Director Africa Regional Commercial Airlines, Mr. Maury Bekwe, disclosed this in Dublin, Ireland, during a meeting of the Boeing Lessor Forum. The forum presents a unique opportunity for Nigeria to showcase its reforms in the aviation sector towards forging strategic alliances. According to the Boeing Sales Director, such efforts will contribute significantly to enabling Nigeria Airlines operators to mitigate risk. He noted that one key aspect of aviation insurance in Nigeria, which requires aircraft operators to maintain adequate insurance cover, and praised Nigeria for securing the first position in the Cape Town Convention Compliance Index rating in Africa. And in other news, telecom operators have submitted a proposal to the Nigerian Communications Commission seeking a 100% increase in tariff to address rising operational costs, including inflation and higher service delivery expenses. Managing Director, Chief Business Officer of Optimus by AfriInvest, Dr. Ayode Diebo, was on our business flagship show where he bared his mind on the planned increase.
That there's a need to review. It shouldn't be done at once. Just like then when we're advising for subsidy, it should be phased. So now that the regulators and the government have seen that there's a need for that review, I would suggest between that 40 to 50% initially, then over time, they can still get that 100%, because the reality is that the costs have moved by more than 200 to 300% from the last time it was reviewed. So, but this has to be fixed. Given the current situation, electricity tariff has been increased. We're still trying to survive from that. The fuel price have also been increased. But, you know, when we also need to look at it objectively, this is the private sector. Thanks to the regulators that are also having that oversight to ensure that prices are controlled.
Now, stocks lead broadly in Asia today, while the dollar hit a 14-month peak in the wake of an unambiguously strong payrolls report that pushed up bonds yields and tested lofty equities valuation just as the earnings season gets underway. S&P 500 futures fell 0.4%, Nasdaq futures 0.5%, adding to Friday's pullback. Eurostock 50 futures and FTSE futures is 0.2%, while DAX futures were almost flat. Holiday in Japan made for the thin early trading today, and MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside of Japan edged down 0.4%. While the Nikkei was short, futures traded down. South Korean stocks eased 1%, with the political situation still in flux. Chinese blue chips were up 0.2% as data showed exports rose a surprisingly steep 10.7% and imports added 1%. And crude oil prices extended gains for the third session today, with Brent rising above $81 per barrel to the highest level in more than 4 months, as wider U.S. sanctions are expected to affect Russian crude exports to top buyers China and India. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose to sell for $78.44 per barrel, with an upward price review of 2.44%. Brent also experienced an uptick of 2.22% to sell for $81.58 per barrel. Bonny Light sells for $78.62 with a price decline of 2.84%. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers offer $76.93 per barrel with an upsurge of 1.13%. Well, that's business at this hour. Next is sports. See you at the top of the hour for Business Nigeria. Stay with us.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We'll be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV station of the year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Meet Benga Oreshegun, a fearless voice and an advocate for the truth. He's bringing fresh energy and bold insights to Journalists Hangout.
Get ready for deeper analysis and dynamic perspectives. Join me and Babajide Kolade Otitoju with other veteran journalists on Journalists Hangout. Weekdays from 5 p.m. and on Sundays, 1:30 p.m.
Sometimes it's the story that calls. At other times, the people just want to be heard.
School, I need students, but I need teacher.
Can't continue like this.
Their voices re-echoing through time itself.
We haven't done anything. If the tide is high, everybody run for safety.
Their tears leave a sweet, sour taste for all. Their demands, a familiar call beckoning for change. In our world, no one expects a disaster to happen. But when it does, we'll be there to x-ray all sides, from the east to the west, north and south. Community Forum will examine the oddities and challenges to economic development, as well as issues yearning for government intervention. Watch fresh episodes of Community Forum on Sundays by 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
Nigerian Football Federation on Monday in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, unveiled the new head coach of the Super Eagles, Eric Seko Shelley. The event took place at the media conference room of the MKO Abiola National Stadium, and at Monday's unveiling, the NFF also disclosed the names of Coach Shelley's assistants, with the crew to shepherd the Super Eagles B at next month's African Nations Championship in East Africa, before focusing squarely on the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying campaign, beginning with the matches against Rwanda away from home and Zimbabwe at home in March. Nigeria are currently 5th in Group C of the qualifier. The team is also winless after 4 games. Still talking football, Enyimba head coach Stanley Iguma is optimistic his side will earn a berth in the quarterfinal of the CAF Confederation Cup. The People's Elephants held Al Masry of Egypt to a 1-1 draw in their matchday 5 encounter at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo, on Sunday. The result puts their chances of securing a place in the knockout round in jeopardy. Iguma stated that the Aba Giants will give their all to make it beyond the group stage. In England, Alta Bayida and Joshua Zirkzee were the penalty shootout heroes as 10-man Manchester United defeated Arsenal in an epic contest to make it through to the FA Cup 4th round, where they will host Leicester City. The United goalkeeper compounded Kai Havertz's nightmarish afternoon with a full stretch stop from the Gunner striker to help secure the holders a 5-3 kicks win from 12 yards after the tie had finished 1-1 following extra time at the Emirates Stadium. It is a huge result for United's boss, Ruben Amorim, adding to the successful recent away days at Manchester City and Liverpool.
Oh, and a glorious equaliser. Superbly finished by Gabriel. Oh, you saw it coming. You saw it coming. Kai Havertz has had one of those days. And he has failed again from the penalty spot. These are one of those. Zirkzee does it! And Manchester United against the odds.
In other results, Tottenham Hotspur prevailed over Tamworth by 3-0, courtesy of 3 extra-time goals, while Crystal Palace edged Stockport County by a lone goal, and Newcastle United defeated Bromley by 3-1. And finally, British #1 Jack Draper was far below his best, but managed to avoid a shock first-round defeat from a set down to defeat teenage wildcard Nishesh. And that's sports wrap at this hour. It's back to you, Precious.
All right, thank you, Samson. Let's get back to the Lagos State House of Assembly, where moments ago, Mojisola Miranda was sworn in as the first female speaker after the impeachment of Mudashiru Obasa. Now, our senior correspondent, Adedoja Salamadini, is standing by to bring us update. Doja, you were there and you witnessed the entire process. Bring us up to speed with all that played out today.
Okay, so earlier this morning, I saw lawmakers trooping into the assembly, and then I saw security presence at the gate of the assembly. Right now, I'm actually at the entrance of the Lagos House, which also houses the Lagos State House of Assembly. I'm standing at the front of the gate. So, as I said earlier this morning, I saw lawmakers, I saw the security presence at the assembly, which is so unusual. So, and then finding out what happened, I was able to get into the assembly, and I was told that the speaker has been impeached around 1 p.m. today. And so no doubt that there seems to be a discomfort between the executive and legislative arm of government before now. So, and then it's also, which was culminated on the drama that ensued in the House of Assembly on the day of budget presentation by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, when he presented the sum of 3 trillion naira budget size, the biggest ever. And then the lawmakers were seen with glasses and without glasses on that day. And so today we were told that Speaker Mudashiru Obasa, who came in as Speaker in 2015, has been impeached today. And of course, Deputy Speaker Mojisola Miranda from Apapa one is now the Speaker, Lagos State House of Assembly. Now, if you don't have business doing around here, the security seems to be watertight around here. I've seen the Rapid Response Squad. I've seen the Lagos State Task Force. My cameraman can move to the side. Some guys who said they came from Agege area of the state, and some of them have been arrested inside this, what's it called? Black Maria. So we've seen them, and they are shouting that they are not hoodlums. That's what they are saying, that they are not hoodlums. You can hear their voice. Let me pause a bit. So, but the question is, the police are saying that why are they in this area at this time? So we've seen some of them arrested and put inside the Black Maria, and then no one comes in, no one goes out of here unless you are a government worker. So that is what is happening right now. So Mojisola Miranda is now the Speaker, Lagos State House of Assembly. So let me get people inside this Black Maria and actually know their grievances, because some of them, okay, Ekason, so kile she gongo tefi wa sibi. So the police don't want me to talk to them. Kile she ele soro. Kile she. Kile wa she mi bai. Kile wa she bi. Kile wa she bi. Eh? Okay, so they said, okay, so they don't, please, you can move, please move. So this car has just been turned down, this car that is passing. So these guys were saying that they haven't done anything. But the question is, why are they here at this time? And so the police don't want me to talk to anybody at all.
All right,
so,
Dodger, I see that the situation there is still a bit tense.
But I've heard them saying that probably they are from Agege area of the state. So that is what is happening here right now. And the police are not leaving this place anytime soon because they believe that anything can happen, and they are also reinforcing.
All right, Dodger,
there's
just a minute,
between
let me
the
come in just a minute
and the
quickly.
executive arms of government even before now, until the drama that happened on the
Dodger,
21st of
if you can
November,
hear me.
2024 happened when the budget was presented by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at the Lagos State House of Assembly. I can't hear you.
All right, Dodger. I just wanted to quickly ask, in like 30 seconds, if you can answer this for us. That budget, you mentioned the budget presentation which happened in November. Between November and now, was there any indication that this was going to happen? That's the impeachment of the Speaker.
Well, we've not heard anything officially. We didn't hear anything officially. But, you know, on that day, the Speaker and the other members of the Lagos State House of Assembly, former Speaker Mudashiru Obasa, they came in all in dark glasses. And then there was a little bit of drama that happened at the Lagos State House of Assembly. And of course, the Speaker was saying that, you know, fine, that he had ambition. That was what he said. I'm saying what the Speaker said now, that it's not a big deal if he had an ambition of becoming the governor of Lagos State. And those who were governor before him, of course, weren't better than he is. And then weren't better than him, and those who live in a glass house shouldn't throw stones. So these are the things. And then I think before then there have been discomfort between the executive and the legislative arms of government, and then it has not been resolved until now. But I am yet to find out how many lawmakers impeached the Speaker.
All right.
Out of 40 members,
all right,
I don't know
Dodger,
how many of them. I'm yet to find that out. All I know is that
Dodger, I do have to button because
in.
of time. I see that the situation there is very tense. So I'll just ask you to stay safe and then bring us more updates when you have it. Senior correspondent Adedoja Salamade, live for us at the Lagos House of Assembly, where the former Speaker Obasa has been impeached and a new Speaker has been sworn in. That's TVC News at 1. Coming up next is Business Nigeria.
Unity is good.
We can build a new friendship.
Chess is fabulous, yeah.
I am sweet, but don't try me still.
How can you like not disgrace me?
I avoiding one person.
She does owe me an apology.
I didn't Google it. Like I said, girl, I read. You should read often.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. It's ShopX Bonanza time. ShopX TV is thrilled to offer an exclusive giveaway of up to 30% on the amazing CookX Air Fryer Oven from now till January 31st, 2025. Our incredible CookX 10-in-1 Air Fryer Oven that makes all the amazing fried food you love with 80% less fat normally retails for 299,950 naira. But call the number on your screen now and get it for just 199,950 naira, which is a whopping 100,000 naira off. Amazing! The incredible 12-liter oven that offers 75% more space for cooking than traditional air fryers. Stay tuned and learn about the amazing free bonus items included with the CookX Air Fryer Oven. Say goodbye to unhealthy, greasy food and hello to nutritious, delicious meals. Its easy-to-use digital display and preset cooking functions take the guesswork out of meal preparations. The CookX Air Fryer Oven is a 12-liter powerhouse that can fit a whole chicken and feed the entire family. Air-fried chicken, corn, and tasty fish, and all made with little to no oil. Here is exciting news. You can air-fry rotisserie. Regular rotisseries have no airflow. It's crisper on the outside and so much juicier on the inside. The CookX Air Fryer Oven replaces a deep fryer, a rotisserie oven, a dehydrator, an oven, a toaster oven, and a microwave. It features a state-of-the-art touchscreen with 10 presets. The CookX Air Fryer Oven is easy to wipe.
I am happy. My husband is happy. And of course, I have a happy home. From my grilling on check, to my frying on check, to my baking on check.
You could be paying 299,950 naira for the CookX Air Fryer Oven. But call the number on your screen now or scan the QR code and get it on the ShopX Mega Bonanza deal for 199,950 naira. The CookX Air Fryer Oven comes with a drip tray and a grill tray. But wait, there's more. If you order now, you get not one, not two, but 3 bonus items valued at 50,000 naira for free. Bonus number 1, an extra large rotating stainless mesh basket, amazing for French fries. Bonus number 2, our stainless rotisserie fork. It's perfect for restaurant-style rotisserie chicken. Bonus number 3, stainless steel food handle. Get the CookX Air Fryer Oven in 2 easy payments of 99,975 naira. Pay twice to get this innovative kitchen appliance. This offer is for a limited time only. We will also deliver the CookX Air Fryer Oven to your door for free. The preceding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
Hello, thank you so much for joining us. This is Monday's edition of Business Nigeria, broadcasting live from Eko Atlantic, Victoria Island in Lagos. Welcome, thank you for joining us again. These are the top stories we are tracking for you at this time. CBN loans to banks hits 5-year high on liquidity squeeze as borrowing to assist airlines in Nigeria in accessing aircraft insurance coverage. Stock slide, dollar strong as market wonders if Fed is done. And on our show today, our first discussion will stay with Nigeria's economy. For the first segment, we'll take a closer look at some burning economic issues and, of course, forecasts and projections for the year 2025. And later on the show, we would evaluate developments in Nigeria's petroleum industry in a deregulated environment with focus on pricing. Well, let's start with major stories making headlines around the world of business. Now, let's start with the news saying that the Central Bank of Nigeria, that's data from them, reveals that it loaned to banks surged to 1.2 trillion naira in the first 7 days of 2025, indicating a liquidity squeeze in the sector. This represents the highest in 5 years and a 961.3% jump from 114.2 billion naira reported in the same period in 2021. analysts attributed the rising demand for loans to liquidity constraints, monetary policy tightening, economic challenges, and regulatory pressures. Head of Financial Institutions Rating at Augustine Consulting, Mr. Ayokunle Olabumi, explained that the contractionary measures of the CBN have increased the borrowings of the banks from the Apex Bank. Boeing International Corporation says it is ready to assist airlines in Nigeria in accessing adequate aircraft insurance coverage through partnership with Buoyant Leisures and Global Financiers. Boeing Sales Director, African Regional Commercial Airlines, Mr. Moini Bekwe, disclosed this in Dublin, Ireland, during a meeting of the to mitigate risk. He noted that one of the key aspects of aviation insurance in Nigeria, which requires aircraft operators to maintain adequate insurance and, of course, cover. And he praised Nigeria for securing the first position in Cape Town Convention Compliance Index ratings in Africa. Well, the Chief Executive Officer of CFG Advisory, Mr. Adetilewa Adebajo, has emphasized that to revive the economy, the government must prioritize reducing its debt burden, restore its credit ratings to investment grade, and curb inflation. According to Mr. Adebajo, these measures would lower borrowing costs, stimulate investment, and drive sustainable growth, productivity, and employment. He stated this in the CFG's Nigeria's 2025 economic forecast titled From Reform Fatigue Quagmire to Sustainable Growth. He added that the fate of the Naira would hinge on how the government manages its debt profile, boosts oil production, and leverages asset sales. Well, let's start the week on Business Nigeria with Mr. Adetilewa Adebajo. He's live in the studio for more on this and some more burning economic issues. Good afternoon. It's good to have you join us live in the studio.
Good afternoon, Tolu, and a happy new year to you.
Thank you. I wish you the same. Well, I think we should start with an overview of this report. I read it. It details a lot of aspects in it that we'll delve into, but give an overview of this forecast and what message you're really passing out.
Well, I think we all know that we've been through some pretty tough reforms in the last 18 months. So at this time, we're asking ourselves, what is the outcome of these reforms? And once we know the outcome of these reforms, then the question now is that when, will we have SOCO, and what does this year has to offer? And taking a look at the aspects, one of the most devastating impacts that this reform process has had on the economy is the exchange rate. We've witnessed the exchange rate move from about 400 to 1,700. And that has impacted industry, has impacted households, and it has impacted the financial system as a whole. Then, of course, we now know that the subsidy has now been removed, which is one of the this was one of the original goals of the reform process. So now the subsidy has been removed. We do not have the subsidy in the budget for 2025. So there's no allocation for fuel subsidy in the budget of 2025. So clearly, subsidy is gone. But having said that, we still have some significant challenges. The economy is in stagflation, and that's why we titled our report as the reform fatigue. We had gotten into some reform fatigue because the government had put the cart before the horse with its implementation. We had drawn out longer, and the fact that we now have inflation and the economy is in stagflation. And stagflation means high levels of inflation, low levels of growth, and high unemployment. So that is where we find ourselves now. So now we've said we've now been in this quagmire for the last 18 months. So how do we get out of this quagmire? So the report has focused on what has happened in the last 18 months and then the steps that the government must take, because this is the second budget cycle for this new government. It's no longer a new government. It's going into its third budget cycle, but this is the first full budget cycle, because the first budget cycle was a supplementary budget for 6 months. So we need to start assessing the progress has been made with economic reforms and what the challenges are for this year.
What do you think make of the alignment and implementation of some of these policy measures as instituted by this government?
Well, that has been the problem. I haven't seen much of coordination, and that is where we are. I do not believe the foreign exchange should be at 1,700.
How much do you think it should be?
I believe this foreign exchange should be sub 1,000, at least 750 to 800, if the reform process was properly managed. Because certain things were not put in place on time. And right now, the economy is experiencing some tightness with inflation. So, and inflation is one of the biggest problems in any economy because it erodes purchasing power of the households, and prices are becoming more increasing. The fuel subsidy removal, we knew was going to have an inflationary impact. I mean, there was no question about that. That we knew all along. So it's a question of how do you manage that inflationary impact? Because of the way they were dragging it, first of all, they increased the price to 500 to 900. So we didn't quite know where the price is. But now that the price has settled, then we can now begin to see that price or that cost push effect of the price, the subsidy removal, now coming through to the economy. Because you know, at a point in time, monetary policy, the inflation trajectory was actually coming downwards. But then with the fuel price, another fuel hike again, the inflation trajectory is going upwards now. And of course, that the monetary policy authorities had to tighten again. So, so hopefully now that we now know where the price levels are, we can now begin to see the system begin to absorb these price shocks so that we do not see any further increases in price, at least for this year, so that we can now begin to see a downward trajectory on inflation this year. So, but that did not quite work out. But right now, I think we have a handle on that now because the subsidy situation has been removed. Same thing with the foreign exchange. And there are things that the government needs to do to ensure that the foreign exchange comes below 1,000.
Interestingly, also in that report, the debt burden issue is something that you talked about, you mentioned, and really it's a reality that's facing us. And debt servicing also in the 2025 budget is something that analysts have been talking about. How does that also come to you moving on in 2025? How does it affect growth and development?
That for me is the biggest red flag now. That is the biggest challenge the Nigerian economy has been facing. We still have about 35 trillion in ways and means financing that we are yet to resolve. And we need to see how that will be reflected when the central bank comes out with its annual report. Because as you know, the central bank cannot accept securitization for repayment for ways and means financing because it's not in line with Section 38 of the CBN Act. So that was being resolved, but now we have these issues with the budget, as you have rightly pointed out. The debt profile has, in December alone, the government went and raised close to $7 billion in debt. That was what we raised in December. So that has taken the debt profile now to probably close to over $100 billion. That's it. So the debt burden is over $100 billion. So if you take a look at it, probably about half of that is foreign debt. Just over half is domestic, and the rest is foreign debt. So those are serious source of concerns as we speak right now. And if you take a look at the 2025 proposed budget, the debt servicing has increased from 8 trillion last year to 16.3 trillion last year. It's doubled. So that is a major source of concern. And to exacerbate that problem, the last 3 years, from 2023, 2024, 2025 budget, the cumulative deficit is now about 37 trillion naira. So that tells you that the debt levels are clearly not sustainable, and that's why we are suggesting the next action that government needs to take to be able to reduce that debt profile.
And that's really very important. Moving on, before we talk about what government needs to prioritize moving forward, are there still opportunities in Nigeria's market?
Yes. Don't forget that, unfortunately, over the last 6 years, Nigeria has lost $300 billion of its GDP and the GDP for Nigeria is now $199 billion, making Nigeria the fourth largest economy behind South Africa, Egypt, Algeria. So those are the consequences of that, and the devaluation and the stagflation and the productivity. The biggest problem in Nigeria is the output gap. Okay, and the output gap means that the potential of where we should be and where we should be producing in terms of productivity and what we're doing, there's a big gap. So Nigeria should probably be, in terms of productivity, at a particular level, but because of the constraints in our economy, we're producing at a particular level. And some of these constraints, the biggest of it is government debt, because government debt is also fueling inflation, because money supply has increased to 108 trillion, which is the highest, and money supply went up by 68% in 1 year on year. So that is pretty significant, and that is still what, so it's driving inflation. So, and don't forget that CRR is 50%. So 50% of the deposits have been ring-fenced in the central bank, and the 50% of the other deposit that is also out there, government is also competing, borrowing money with the private sector. So government is now crowding at the private sector in terms of borrowing, which is now impacting growth. So that is why the debt problem is. And so the opportunities in Nigeria are immense in terms of when you take a look at the earning potentials, a market of 200 million people. But if you say you have 200 million people, but they do not have purchasing power, and their purchasing power has been eroded because of inflation, then what we have created, as you see from the industrial side, from the firms, we now have a sachet economy. Most of the industry, in order to reach the consumers, are producing everything in sachets. Even alcohol is being sold in sachets now. So these are the challenges we have. But in terms of the opportunities in Nigeria, the potential spending for Nigerian households is close to $30 billion. So, which is the size of the current government budget. So the households in Nigeria have a higher spending power than the current government budget. So these are the things that needs to be unleashed. So we see things in agriculture, but our output is really where it is. The output gap is really what is killing Nigeria.
Brilliant stuff. Now, government is saying 15% inflation is the target. CBN, we had inflation targeting even before now, and now government is saying with this budget, how feasible is this looking at it? What I saw in the report, 22% is achievable?
Well, our projections for inflation for this year is 22%.
Okay.
That is our own projections based on our own analysis. And the reason why we say that is because the Central Bank of Nigeria should be the ones telling us the direction of inflation. With the National Bureau of Statistics, everybody has a basket. You can also measure inflation because you purchase. You know how much you spend on food. If you take a look at your salary, you know where your spending item is more. So that will determine the weighting of the basket of goods you would use. There's an ongoing exercise now to rebase CPI and GDP, and we need to be very careful. Because if we do that, if we look at some of the inflation estimates that we use from Lagos, inflation now is close to 42% as we speak. If we use the baskets from the increase in prices, you can go there. What is the price from CMS to Ikeja bus stop for transport? You know that. What's the price from CMS bus stop to Oshodi? You can get those prices. Go to the markets and check the prices of rice and all the staples. You can get the inflation numbers yourself. So we need to be very careful when we do this rebasing. So inflation is something that we should leave to the monetary authorities and the statistics authorities, which is the National Bureau of Statistics. Yes, we all desire 15% inflation, because at 15% inflation, the data shows that Nigerian economy grows at low inflation. So the reason why you want inflation to grow is to ensure growth. So if we have low inflation, we can begin to see close to 8 to 10%. But we need to tame inflation first. We need to bring it down properly. And the way government can do that is to reduce its deficit and to be able to reduce money supply.
Interesting. Now, so what should government prioritize moving forward, looking at all that we've identified and all of these issues? It's a two-in-one question for Rabs. And also, what sort of social intervention scheme or initiative or program do you think can help cushion the effect of the fallout of some of these policies? 18 months gone.
Well, as you see from our reports, one of the things we pointed out was that we have been quite disappointed because the social intervention programs have failed.
Yeah.
It's been mired in corruption with the minister that was suspended, and since then we haven't heard anything about it. So it's rather unfortunate that the program that was supposed to cushion the effects, it's gone quiet. So I think it's important that social intervention programs are revived to be able to provide the cushion. That's number one. Number two, I think it's important that government, when you have your balance sheet, because if you take a look at the federal government of Nigeria's balance sheet, you might be talking about technical insolvency. So because your current assets, your current assets cannot cover your current liabilities anymore. So that shows that you have significant amounts of challenges. But on the asset side of your balance sheet, you are asset rich. So what we're saying is that the government should sell down its JV assets to be able to spur growth in the oil and gas industry. In that process, it can raise close to $30 to $50 billion. Now, with the $30 to $50 billion it's raising, a lot of people are concerned that they mustn't spend that money onto recurrent. So government needs to, first of all, create certain specific projects. Say, for instance, we'll talk about renovating the Murtala Mohammed Airport. So some of that money should go into upgrading and renovating Murtala Mohammed Airport to world-class standards, or identify key projects that this proceeds should go into. They can take some of it to resolve the debt issue, and the rest of it should be invested in the Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund of Nigeria, NSI. We have a stabilization fund in that. So government should also put a lot of money into the stabilization fund of the Sovereign Wealth Fund and continue to build wealth. Because what is happening with that stabilization fund is that the fund is supposed to go and invest money so that when government has a deficit or a financial problem, the stabilization fund of the Sovereign Wealth Fund should be able to support it. Like Norway, for instance, the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund is valued at about 1.5 trillion. And last year, it returned $250 billion in return for the government, which is a lot of money. So we need to get into that so that we can create a buffer and we can create something that will help us finance and manage our fiscal deficits.
Interesting conversation. I must say, I know we can go on and on, but that's our time. I must thank you so much for starting the week with us, Mr. Adetilewa Adebajo, CEO, CFG Advisory. Thank you so much for starting the week with us on Business Nigeria. It's good to see you here. Thank you for coming in. Happy New Year again. Thank you. Still to come on the show, we would evaluate developments in Nigeria's petroleum industry, of course, in a deregulated environment. And I have the Southwest Zonal Chairman of Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Dele Tajuddin. After this break, the conversation continues. This is Business Nigeria. Don't go away.
of rice no get the new big bull holographic seal?
Not true.
Introducing the Big Bull Holographic Seal Tape, your favorite authentic Big Bull rice, 50 kg and 25 kg. Now with Holographic Seal Tape. This is to ensure you get the premium product from Big Bull Rice. Do not buy if the Holographic Seal Tape is not on the bag or is broken. Big Bull Rice. Tasty rice nourished you.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Regulation is no more in news.
Yeah.
It's gone and it's gone forever. And what is constant in life is change, and the change has come. And I want to commend the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for taking the bull by the horn. It was not an easy decision, but it is a necessity. It is a necessary decision that has to be taken in the best interest of this country. So it has come, and of course it was difficult when the decision was made. Still very difficult, but at least we are getting used to it. And I want to let you know that there's no policy with advantage that doesn't have disadvantage too. But going 150 per liter.
Yes.
Today, I can tell you with facts that NNPC retail is selling at 9.25. MRS, let's use Alapere as an example. MRS is selling at 9.85. There's Eden Petroleum at Alapere. There is Total. There is corn oil. Everybody is selling different prices, but within the, good range.
Yeah.
So everybody says, so it has dropped from 1,250, 1,200 to 935. So, and we expect more of that. Another advantage is that the deregulation has made the smuggling of petroleum products reduced drastically. It has reduced. And going along with that, we've been able to see what our consumption rate is, even though not the statistics are not to us the exact consumption per day, per month, per annum, but at least you agree with me that we are getting there, that the consumption rate, which was more than 100, it's less than what it used to be today, which means there was a lot of taking our product out of this country. So that regulation is also an advantage to that. And when you talk about efficiency, because there are so many other players in the industry, and I must commend Dangote Refinery because they are doing a lot.
Wow.
Efficiency is the sense that, for example, Dangote loads 24/7 every day, even on Sundays. Unlike before, when we have limited people that has this product, even when on a good day, on a Monday like this, you see some depot, they have not started loading as at 12 a.m. in the morning, 12 p.m. in the morning. But now, let me just use this as an example. By about 2 weeks ago, Dangote was selling, the price at Dangote was like 9.12, 9.11. At Abule Ado Depot, they were selling about 9.35, 9.45. By the time they saw that nobody is coming to them, they were forced to reduce the price, which means that was just an artificial prices.
Yes.
So there is healthy competition now.
In the market.
So, and if it continues like that, if you have more of Dangote Refinery, I can assure you that the prices will continue to come down. And also it has helped their foreign exchange because
it's been a bit of stability.
Whichever way,
yes,
it has reduced the importation of petroleum products. Though It must not be. It's not total now, but at least at whatever percentage it is, it has reduced. So these are some of the advantages that you can talk about in the industry.
What about your margins? You know, before now, there's been issues around margins for marketers, and marketers have been talking about the margins being reduced and all of that. With this deregulation and this pricing, how has it affected your margins?
I must say with a sense of sincerity that our margin has improved. Good. It has improved because going by the amount of money we employed in doing business, the margin has been better than what it was before. Because like I said, now nobody is telling you to sell XYZ amount. But if you buy at a certain amount of money and you feel that, 10 naira, 15 naira, 20 naira is enough for you. But nevertheless, if your neighbor is selling at a lower price, you don't have any other person, otherwise you will not be selling. So that is the good thing about about competition. So if it continues like this, like I said, like Bua refinery, some other local refineries and modular refineries, if they come up, I can assure you that the price, I may not be able to predict exactly what the price is, but gradually, because if you are talking about 3 months now, and we have seen the downward review of about 30 naira from 300 naira from what it was before, and you can tell if it continues like this. And by the time the people embraces CNG more than the way it is now, so it will further reduce the demand for petrol, and what that implies is that it's still going to come down. So, to be honest with you, the free flow of products to our filling station is better than the way it was before. I can pay now and get my product within less than 24 hours.
Wow.
Yes, I can say that for free in Dangote Refinery and some other depot. So now we don't even rely much on NNPC. Unlike before, when you pay to NNPC, it takes 3 months, 4 months, and so on before you get your product. But now you don't need to rely on NNPC. Go to Dangote, go to whichever depot there is product, you get your product out within 24 hours. So there is quite easy movement of products now.
You touched on CNG just now, and I know that there's been this partnership before now between government, IPMAN, of course, maybe the PCNG group and all of that. How are your members embracing this? Because we all know that we must go that route. Cleaner energy, cleaner fuels. We see what is happening in other countries.
Well, the truth of the matter is that people have not seriously embraced CNG because of some factors. But like the gas of eating that we're talking about, the local gas, you know, when it started, people were glued to kerosene use alone. But now, nobody's using kerosene. So give us time, people will keen to it. But, I mean, from the side of government, yes, they have been making a lot of promises that have not been kept. And the bureaucracy of government, you know, when they make announcements, there is no serious plan on effective dates. For example, now, you talk about CNG in your filling station. But it's not just getting it done in your filling station, even when you are ready, because you are going to alter the building plan of that filling station. So you have to go to town planning to make a change on your plan. Then you also have to write to the Department of NMDPRA. They have to approve. All those things has to be taken into consideration so that those bottlenecks will be removed. Because at times when you present your paper to town planning office, it will take years before they approve it. They'll come, they will tell you this is not supposed to be, this is this, this is that. Even the charges for altering the initial plan is very high. So all those are bottlenecks that is hindering the even for those who are ready. But I want to say that with time, people will embrace the engine. Some people are even afraid of putting that cylinder behind their belt. Because if you ask yourself, if you have an SVU and you have to remove the back seat, some people, oh, no, I can't remove my back seat.
Some are weather. Some also complain about the sun.
The sun in this country. I don't want explosion, and the orientation is. I think government has to do more about orientation to let people know that the risk is not as much as the way people feel it. So on that, those are the advantages. But it does not mean that we don't have disadvantages. Okay, the disadvantages, let me tell you a funny thing. Because the price of petroleum product is high now, you will not believe that the rate of hijack of tanker is on the high side now. Yes, because they know that if they hijack and you are able to go do away with it, we are talking about 40, 45 million naira. So it's another risk factor that we are witnessing in the industry. The issue of finance, is normal in any business. We are moving from 7 million naira to 45 million naira. It's not an easy thing. The banks are not helping to. The charges now is about 34% rate, apart from all other charges of management fee of 1%, this and that. And the bureaucracy, you need to get a CFO. If you apply for a CFO in a state, I say this was with the all sense of responsibility, that it takes minimum of 2 or 3 years before you get your CFO. So even when you have what it takes to get the loan from the bank, you don't get it on time. You see, time wasted. The rate will have taken about 40% of your profit, because by the time you put everything together, 35%, management fee, this fee, whatever, insurance and the rest, it will have taken about 40% of your profit. So you are left with little or no profit, maybe about 60%. You will have to put down the operational fees, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, you might be left with about 20%. So that's a very, very big challenge. And the government has not done anything to cushion this effect on the marketers, rather than even what we pay as tax is even going up. Because if you are doing huge amount of turnover in bank, so that's how they will charge you. Whereas it's just that the price has gone up, the profit has not gone up in that respect. So we need government to really look at it. They have not done anything for marketers, especially independent marketers, in all this of pushing the effect and the rest. Nothing has been done for independent marketer. And of course, they have to look in that aspect, because we are one of the highest employer of labor. And you know what that means in a country where there's no job. If not, you see, we have at least helped in youth employment and curbing the menace of whatever you feel like all these boys do in the country. So government needs to assist independent petroleum marketer. Thank God that independent petroleum marketers, we are settled, there's no rancor, we have won something. So our leaders, especially the president, the board of trustees, they will be able to negotiate better with government. But actually, government has not done anything significant, not even at all. They have not done anything for us. We have not got any benefit.
Considering your important role, this role that you play, thousands of...
And we have the first casualty, because the removal of subsidy affects independent marketer greatly. So we have the first casualty. So we should be the first beneficiary.
Well, I think this is almost like your close to your almost final outing as zonal chairman of the Southwest Zone. And, you know, it's been a jolly ride. We've been having you here, always coming to address issues around this sector. What more would we hear from you before you go?
Yes, well, to God Almighty, I give thanks to God Almighty who has made it possible for me to lead the association in the last 5 years.
Wow.
And I want to thank the leadership of our association for giving me that opportunity, and the entire member of IPMAN for entrusting me with their businesses. And I want to say with a sense of humility that I will continue to thank them and do my best to, even when I exit from the chairmanship, I will continue to do my best in the best interest of IPMAN. To God be the glory, the journey has been so good. By the 20th of this month,
wow.
That's Monday, next Monday.
7 days.
Yes, I'll be commissioning a 2-story building office
wow.
at Ibadan. And the annual general meeting will be coming up thereafter on the 21st, and we'll be having our election. And let me say that even the election is just going to be a walkover, because we have been able to talk to people that there was no need for rancor and the rest. And
so
most
IPMAN is one now.
Is one. So, in fact, most of the position had been settled. It's just going to be the normal ritual. That's one of those things that we've been able to achieve. Bringing peace to IPMAN has been the most achievement that we.
I must thank you so much. TVC will always be there to partner with you in all that you do.
You know, we can't do it without TVC.
Mr. Dilita Judin is the Southwest Zonal Chairman. IPMAN, I must thank you so much, really. I must thank you. Every time we have issues around the oil and gas sector, you are always there. You respond to us. You tell us the way it is. And, you know, I really must commend that. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, that's our show on that side. Well, we are going to continue our conversation looking at markets, but let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk markets. Don't go away.
Good morning, Marina Station and all the passengers. Efficient, it's comfortable.
This development will go a long way in reducing congestion and emission.
The trains are long-term solution to Lagos traffic challenges.
This is where we take the final, decisions on policies, programs of government. I will have to ensure that, the narration of Lagos as a PLC is taken very, very seriously.
This is a major pedestrian bridge linking Oyinbo here to Apapa Road over there.
With this overpass, we are providing what we call permanent solution.
This place is one of the most dangerous areas at the biosecurity environment.
This can go into the news and every crumbs of your neighborhood.
Our goal is to remain as Africa's model megacity, to move our GDP from the 5-6 position to the 3rd position, and we believe is achievable with all the commitments we have.
Explore the city of Lagos, where dreams are made and possibilities are endless. I'm Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live for the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV station of the year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
There is always more to it. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the peace...
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. It's time to review trading activities at the Exchange Limited, an equities trader with Rostrum Investment and Securities Limited. Mr. Dele Sanusi joins me for this part of the show. Mr. Sanusi, good afternoon and thank you so much for joining the program this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tolulokpe.
Yes, well, the market is staying in red this Monday. Can you take us through the fundamentals surrounding these figures for today? What are the major players at the exchange today?
Looking at the market today, and it's so unfortunate that we are starting at the negative territory. But by the time we look at the figure, it's not so large. So I mean, the way it went down. So what is really happening? It's profit taking, and you should know that the fourth quarter result is on the way.
Go ahead. Fourth quarter results on the way. What sectors do you think are at the moment really driving trade? You know, I saw so much of activities in the insurance space last week. Mr. Sanusi, are you there? All right, then I think we lost connection with Mr. Sanusi. We'll try to see if we can connect back before we wrap up the show. But let's quickly take you outside our shores. Stocks slid broadly in Asia today while the dollar hit a 14-month peak in the wake of an strong payrolls report that pushed up bonds yields and tested lofty equities valuations just as the earnings season gets underway. Now, S&P 500 futures fell 0.4%, NASDAQ futures 0.5%, adding to Friday's pullback. Eurostock 50 futures and FTSE futures is 0.2%. DAX futures were almost flat. Holiday in Japan made for a thin early trading today, and MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside Japan edged down 0.4%. While the Nikkei was short, futures traded down. South Korea stocks is 0.1%, while the political situation is still in flux. Chinese blue chips were up 0.2% as data showed exports rose a surprisingly steep 10.7% and imports added 1%. The African Development Bank Group, that's AFDB, is set to host the Mission 300 African Energy Summit in collaboration with the World Bank Group, the African Union and the Tanzanian government. The bank said in a statement posted on its website that the summit, scheduled for January 27th and 28th in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, will bring together key stakeholders to address African discussions would be the ambitious Mission 300 plan, a joint initiative with the World Bank launched in April 2024 to connect 300 million people in sub-Saharan Africa to electricity by 2030. China and the United Kingdom have agreed to further expand economic and financial cooperation. The two sides held the 11th China-UK Economic and Financial Dialogue, co-chaired by the Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng and British Chancellor of the Australia Rachel Reeves. Serving as a lead person of the dialogue, the Chinese Vice Premier said China is willing to work with the UK to implement the important consensus reached by the leaders of the two countries. Rachel Reeves, on her part, said the UK is willing to strengthen practical cooperation with China in the fields of economy and finance while developing mutually respectful relationship between them.
Growing the economy and raising living standards is the UK government's #1 mission. That growth must be secure and resilient. Pragmatic cooperation with our international partners is one such avenue to achieve that economic growth. That includes trade with China, the world's second largest economy and Britain's fourth largest trading partner. The outcomes we've agreed today represent pragmatic cooperation in action. They represent common ground being found on areas like financial services, trade, investment and the climate. The total value of what we have agreed today is worth £600 million over the next 5 years for the UK economy. At the same time, we discussed that there will need to be areas where we disagree, and it is important that we can have open and frank exchange on these issues.
Crude oil prices extended gain for a third session today, with Brent rising over $81 a barrel to its highest in more than 4 months, as wider U.S. sanctions are expected to affect Russian crude exports to top buyers China and India. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude sells for $78.44 with an upward review of 2.44%. Brent experienced an uptick of 2.22% to sell for $81.53 per barrel. Bonny Light sells for $78.62 per barrel with a decline of 2.84%. For the OPEC basket, dealers offer $76.93 with an upsurge of 1.13%. Well, that's our show today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. See you tomorrow, same time. Get busy, get the cash. I'll see you tomorrow.
Happy New Year, everyone!
May this new year bring you joy.
Here's to a fresh start, everyone.
May this year bring you love, laughter and happiness.
Happy New Year!
Wishing you a year of growth and success.
Happy New Year!
A new year, a new start, way to go. Just as sports is exciting to fans, may the new year excite you all.
Wishing you a memorable and joyful new year.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Yes, wishing you a year of growth and success.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Here's wishing you a profitable new year.
Cheers to an open fresh year 2025. Happy New Year once again. I wish you well.
Meet Benga Oreshegun, a fearless voice and an advocate for the truth. He's bringing fresh energy and bold insights to journalists' hangout.
Get ready for deeper analysis and dynamic perspectives. Join me and Babajide Kolade Otitoju with other veteran journalists on Journalists' Hangout. Weekdays from 5 p.m. and on Sundays 1:30 p.m.
Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel. TVC News. First with breaking news.
This is What Now. We begin with developments in the Middle East, where U.S. President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have spoken by phone in Biden's final week in office. Momentum builds towards a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal in Syria and the weakening of Iran's power in the region. Netanyahu's office says Biden has given instructions to senior negotiators in Doha in order to advance the release of the hostages. Geopolitical analyst Dr. Bola Adediro joins me from the UK for this conversation. Good to have you, Dr. Adediro. So you and I we've had conversation back and forth on developments in the Middle East, but it seems now that there would be a breakthrough in terms of ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. But what is the possibility of reaching a deal before President Biden leaves office?
I think that there are clear indications that
at least the framework of a deal is possible before President Joe Biden leaves office on January 20th. Certainly, Biden officials want that. Trump officials want that, and there's a lot of pressure on Netanyahu to get that deal done. As at last night, I believe that there are indications that a final draft have been handed over to officials from Hamas, negotiating officials from Hamas, and also for Israeli officials who are participating in the ceasefire talks. I'm talking about the Shin Bet, head of Shin Bet, head of Mossad, and the head of IDF, and some other Biden officials and U.S. envoy to the Middle East representing Donald Trump. So there are indications that there is a breakthrough in the negotiations at the moment.
All right, so I mean, in the introduction we had to this story, we listed some of these developments in the Middle East, and I know you are very well aware of some of these developments. Israeli ceasefire with Hezbollah, of course you follow the fall of Assad regime, and then we've seen the weakening of Iran's axis of resistance also in the region. It is in the interest of Hamas to reach a deal now, isn't it? Especially also before Trump takes office.
Yes, Donald Trump has made it very clear to Hamas that all hell will be let loose if hostages are not released before January 20th. And so Hamas understands the pressure that it's under. But more importantly, I think Hamas also is tired of the war, frankly. More than 46,000 Palestinians have died, more than 100,000 have been injured. Gaza is a rubble at the moment. And so even just the sheer toll of the war itself is probably pushing Hamas to want a ceasefire deal. I like the fact that you mentioned about Hezbollah, the ceasefire deal that was agreed with Hezbollah. And my concern here is that even if this ceasefire deal is agreed with Hamas, how can we be absolutely sure that the Israelis will not undermine it? We've seen what they've done in Lebanon, where they have violated the ceasefire agreement with Hezbollah several times, and so there are concerns with that from my own hand. But it's definitely good news for the Palestinians and for the hostages who are bound to come home.
And you already sort of jumped, or touched on rather on my next line, of question, because there are some members of Netanyahu's cabinet who do not want an outright ceasefire. They want the deal, they want the return of hostages. Go wrong.
Well, I think that feelers coming from the Netanyahu's government seems that Netanyahu understands that this is a timely moment to be able to get this deal, promising that if they're able to get this deal out and signed and delivered, then perhaps they can get on the right side of the incoming Trump administration, which they want to be on the right side of the Trump administration. And perhaps they may be able to also deliver some of the right-wing ideas of those members of the cabinet, which includes, for example, the annexation of West Bank. So it seems like it's a deal that if it goes ahead, it would be because they believe that down the road, they might be able to get something from the Trump administration, which expands the territory of Israel.
And do you sense any sort of delay tactics? Because again, it will be in the benefit of Israel if Trump when Trump takes office, to have their ceasefire agreement at that time. Do you think that there will be any sort of delay tactics just to ensure that Trump comes into office before this agreement is reached?
I think the sticking point at the moment is first about the Philadelphia corridor. Hamas want the Israeli Defense Forces to not, continue to hold on to that strip of land, and the Israelis want to have presence within the Philadelphia corridor. I think the other sticking point is in terms of the language of the ceasefire deal. The Israelis want something that is flexible enough, that allows them to resume fighting whenever they please. And the negotiators from Hamas want a very comprehensive, very robust language that enforces a permanent ceasefire deal. And I think the last sticking point is in terms of where the outpost of the Israelis would be. Previously, it was just a couple of about 60 meters from Israel. Now the Israelis want it as far as into North Gaza as possible, which would mean that a lot of Palestinians are not able to return into their homes. So there are still some sticking points. But I think that overall, it is the interest of the Palestinians represented by the Hamas to get the deal signed. It's in interest of Netanyahu's cabinet members to accept this deal, and it's in interest of everyone to see some form of calm and peace in that part of the world where thousands of people have experienced miserable times and miserable fortunes for the last 1 year, and also for the more than 100 hostages to come home. It's a long time.
And a number of people who have died on both sides, even hostages, about 34 of them have died in this war. Thank you so much for your time, as always, geopolitical analyst, Dr. Bola Adedoro.
Thank you for having me, Precious.
And now to Africa, where the French government has just handed over its detachment camp in the city of Abeche to Chad. The Chadian Minister of Defense, his delegation, and French officials participated in the ceremony. For the French military, the result of many years of presence in northern Chad has been strengthened through strong ties, not only with the Chadian soldiers, but also with the local population. The Minister of Defense, Issaka Jamus, reminded everyone that the deadline for the departure of French troops remains January the 31st, 2025. Abeche, a city in northern Chad, has been known for years of its hostility to the presence of the French base. Demonstrations calling for the departure of the base have always occurred in the city, even though they were violently suppressed by the Chadian regime in the past. In Sudan, the military and its allies have taken back a strategic city from the rebel Rapid Support Forces. The recapture of the city of Wad Medani, the capital of Gezira province, came more than a year after it fell to the RSF. The conflict in Sudan, which started in April 2023, exploded into open fighting in the capital, Khartoum, and other cities across the sprawling northeastern African country. The conflict has killed more than 28,000 people, forced millions to flee their homes, and left some families eating grass in a desperate attempt to survive as famine swept parts of the country. It has been marked by gross atrocities, including ethnically motivated killing and rape, according to the United Nations and rights groups. The International Criminal Court said it was investigating alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity. We're staying in Africa, where Uganda's Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the son of Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni, has declared his departure from X, where he has been known for sharing controversial messages. His recent tweet, which included a threat against prominent opposition leader Bobi Wine, drew significant backlash. In 2022, he stirred controversy by talking about an invasion of neighboring Kenya, prompting his father to intervene and issue an apology. In his final message on Friday, he stated that it was time for him to focus on his military responsibilities, although he hinted at a future return to engage with his 1 million followers. This is not the first time that General Kainerugaba has deactivated his X account. In 2022, he quit the microblogging platform, only to return days later. You're watching The World Now. We'll take a break and return with more stories. Stay with us.
You're watching Beyond 100 Days with me, Femi Oguntoye. President Tinubu, since he assumed office,
they are on our way to progress.
6 out of the 8 APC federal lawmakers.
I have a movement structure that's going to take back our party in Enugu State. Because this one I'm seeing is just by moonlight. It's not working.
So I'm wondering what you think, or who you think can stop him now.
He doesn't own the party.
One of the causes of inflation is because people cannot go to the farm.
The government still needs to do more so that people can eat.
I believe what we're clamoring for is more responsible use of social media. Not that people just go in there and think that they can say anything to anybody.
Tinubu is not one who believes in the simple. I mean, he wants to get it done. He will face it. He will get it done.
Yes, the president, from inception of the administration, focused squarely on diversifying the economy and driving in investments to cushion the effect of everything that we've seen, ranging from COVID-19 to the global commodity shocks, global financial crisis, and all of that.
I was privileged to have worked under a governor who believed in the system, who also built up the system, and I'm going to do the same.
All right, that's our show today, everyone. Thanks for being a part of it.
TVC News, first with breaking news.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, we uncover the secrets of the financial world.
We analyze the stock market, shares, bonds, and the thrilling world of cryptocurrency.
Facts matter. Our team dives deep to separate facts from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life, helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News, first with breaking news.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's now turn our attention to the U.S., where the Department of Homeland Security has announced an extended temporary protected status for El Salvador, Ukraine, Sudan, and Venezuela, granting 937,000 nationals from these countries an additional 18 months of immigration protection under the TPS program. This action takes place as the incoming Trump administration is set to begin on January the 20th. During his first term, President-elect Donald Trump sought to terminate protected status visa for countries such as El Salvador and Haiti, among others, through a series of executive orders. However, the subsequent Biden administration chose not to move forward with these terminations. There are concerns about President-elect Trump, who has continued to express intention to revoke this status for certain holders in his second term before the November election. Mr. Trump focused his campaign on a massive deportation of immigrants, and since emerging as president-elect, he has made several appointments to carry out his plans for massive deportation of illegal immigrants from the U.S. Now, for 4 more years to go, and his countdown to the inauguration of Donald Trump as president of the United States, joining me on the ward now is the Chief Executive Officer of Vesti, Olusola Musho. He's joins us from Dallas in the United States to speak more on the immigration plans of President Trump. Good to have you join us.
My pleasure. It's great to be here.
All right, so let me just start by saying that the incoming president has pledged to make massive changes to immigration policy in the U.S. We know that Donald Trump's rhetoric around immigration has been very harsh, sometimes quite demeaning as well. What is likely to be, or what should we likely expect from his administration, and who are those likely to be affected by his proposed changes?
Let me start by saying that, for all of the indications that we've seen, and as an organization that plays within this space, we have seen that the focus for the incoming Trump administration has been on clamping down on illegal immigration as much as possible. So there is a massive commitment, prospective massive commitment on clamping down on those who have entered the United States legally without record, either by foot borders and so on and so forth, land borders and so on and so forth, that were not processed into the country. And also deportation of those who have either overstayed, or essentially have been on a status that is, that has lapsed It is not clear just yet how all of this will be executed, but we can also see that there is a very strong, vehement debate on skilled immigration, and that there might be concerns around placing caps on certain immigration categories. But what we know as of today is that the U.S. strongly depends on foreign workers to continue to drive its economy. So as long as folks are legal and have come into the country the right way, essentially this group is not necessarily going to be affected. There is a strong advocacy for H-1B visas, strong advocacy for student visas converting to green cards, because these people have become researchers. They've become some of the greatest contributors to the United States economy.
You say that he focuses more on illegal migrants, which, and you're right, we've seen him escalate them even during the campaign, but we've also seen a ban on some kind of visas for certain countries in its first tenure. But I will get to that shortly. I wanted us to talk about deportations and policies surrounding immigrants and refugees, especially Africans. As I was reading the intro as to the extension of protection for those from El Salvador, Ukraine, and I'm wondering, is this something he could undo, and what would this mean for Africans who are looking to travel, during his tenure?
The interesting thing is, for those who are already in the United States, similar to what you're seeing with the extension of the TPS over El Salvador, there are global principles that guide immigration and protect refugees, especially conventions of the United Nations that every president must go by. It is left to be seen whether or not, the strength and the sometimes executive power of a president like President Trump and previous bans he has done would be repeated in this particular tenure. But you can see that there are certain things like the TPS that have to go through Congress, that have to go through sometimes the decision of the president, to make it happen. So for those who are already in, there will be debates left and right. Most of those, even if there was like a deportation call, some of that may be contested, and will still be on for another 6 months, another 1 year, until perhaps the whole thing cools down. However, when some of those pronouncements are made from the United States, it definitely could affect Africans who are trying to come into the United States. So I have seen that in the first tenure, where even airline companies and other organizations, because of the lack of guidance on whether they could airlift passengers, would literally make a halt in that particular period. And that's why everybody is anticipating what happens on January 20th, beg your pardon, and of course on the subsequent days after that. One thing we're sure of, though, is this is a country that is about a $30 trillion economy, a very strong capitalist economy. This is a capitalist president coming in. So there won't be irrational things done on economic visitors or folks that need to contribute to the economy. We must, however, think about some of the concerns around the humanitarian impact of some of this around countries like Mexico, El Salvador, and some other North American territories.
Absolutely. An incoming capitalist president who is very transactional and in his approach to policies, what is the need for America is perhaps his biggest question to ask. But in the light of that, what's your take on the H-1B visas and then also the granting of green cards in the light of Donald Trump expressing support for a variety of limits on even legal immigration?
Well, as an experienced consultant within the field, and with the fact that our organization drives the advocacy around H-1B workers, the U.S. needs about 85,000 of those every single year, and the president-elect himself has talked about H-1B workers working in his own property and in his own organizations as well. So we kind of feel very strongly that he is favoring H-1B as a policy at this time and as a program at this time. And of course, his very darling Elon Musk as well has spoken positively about the H-1B visa. So we don't see the H-1B visa going anywhere at this time. We actually do feel like there might be even cap increases as a result of the fact that this is one of the main ways the U.S. powers major corporations like Microsoft, Google, Tata, Walmart, and several other organizations, including small companies like startups and research organizations. So for now, we are strongly saying that those who must get into the H-1B visa lottery for the year 2026 fiscal, which is the 2025 calendar year, should get on it as quickly as possible, and we're waiting for guidance on when that opens.
One can only imagine the immigrant community on the edge of their seats as it takes office, especially for the Haitians who he escalated during his campaigns. Thank you so much for your time. The CEO of Vesti, Olushola Musho.
My pleasure.
We're staying in the U.S. where investigators are considering an array of possible ignition sources for the huge wildfires that have killed at least 16 people and destroyed thousands of homes and businesses in the Los Angeles area. According to the National Fire Protection Association, while lightning is the most common source of fires in the U.S., investigators were able to rule that out quickly. Los Angeles County officials say the death toll from the wildfires has risen to 24. Many are believed to be missing, and over 12,000 structures have been damaged or destroyed in 6 simultaneous wildfires that spread across the county starting Tuesday. We'll have more in this report.
Firefighters in California are in a critical stage of their 6-day battle against deadly Los Angeles wildfire, as officials say the fire threat will remain very high as dangerous winds return this week. At least 24 people have died and dozens are still missing, but officials say it is not yet safe to assess the true number of victims. Questions over LA's preparedness for the firestorm have led to political finger-pointing. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass held a news conference in Los Angeles to provide an update on the unprecedented wildfires. A new mandatory evacuation order was issued for the fire, telling people they should leave immediately. Tens of thousands of Los Angeles residents have already been displaced by the fires, many of them now sheltering in evacuation centers. The state's governor says it could be the costliest disaster in U.S. history, and firefighters are finding a way around it.
Hard and as fast as they can for you. We are a city, Los Angeles. We have been through tragedies before. I remember 1992, the civil unrest, when we had to rebuild the city. I remember 1994, the big earthquake. This tragic event will bring us together. We will stay together. We will get through the fires, and then we will rebuild our city, and we will rebuild our city even better. With that,
I'll bring you more on that report subsequently, but that's the word now. For more updates on the stories we're monitoring, you can visit our website, www.tvcnews.tv. You can also follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and on X at TVC News NG. On YouTube, we're live at TVC News Nigeria. Thanks for watching.
Happy New Year, everyone!
May this new year bring you joy.
Here's to a fresh start, everyone.
May this year bring you love, laughter, and happiness.
Happy New Year!
Wishing you a year of growth and success.
Happy New Year!
A new year, a new start, way to go. Just as sports is exciting to fans, may the new year excite you all.
Wishing you a memorable and joyful New Year.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Yes, wishing you a year of growth and success.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Here's wishing you a profitable New Year.
Cheers to an oven fresh year 2025. Happy New Year once again. I wish you well.
Hello, NIDA Impact lovers. We have good news for you. In the quest to keep Nigerians abreast of the happenings in the digital space, NIDA Impact, a flagship TV program of the National Information Technology Development Agency, is now showing here on Television Continental. It is, as always, educative, informative, and innovative. NIDA Impact. Keep a date with NIDA Impact, your guide to a digital Nigeria.
I'm Miriam Lunge. I'm a passionate environment advocate and a published author.
I am the founder of Celebration, a businesswoman, and a fashion icon.
I am a wealth coach and a real estate developer.
I am Amako Arakwe. I'm a corporate commercial lawyer and an entrepreneur.
Barkamu da warhaka. I am Ramatu Shehu Oyibo, an entrepreneur and a business coach.
I am the voice of an average Muslim woman, an hijabite, and a lawyer.
I am a polymath and a serial entrepreneur.
I am Murayo Afolabi Brown, Managing Director, TVC Entertainment. I'm a media consultant, producer, and broadcaster.
The ladies of your view are made of women from different professions, tribes, cultures, and religion. Join us every Monday to Friday as we share our views on topical and social issues.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
After 2 months of repairs, the Lekki Conservation Centre is back and bustling with life. Home to a diverse array of plants and animals, this Lagos heritage site plays a vital role in preserving the region's ecosystem. And let's not forget about the star attraction, the longest canopy walkway in Africa, offering the breathtaking 360-degree views from above the treetops. This and more will be our focus in this week's edition of Green Angle. Welcome.
Yes,
I am Esther Makwariola. And before we begin, let's bring you updates aimed at fostering environmental sustainability awareness through educational programs and practical workshops within schools.
Children are very strong influencers. They're subliminal, they're surreptitious, but yet they're very, very powerful. So when you have a teacher who has taken up the vision to charge children about how to manage waste, and not only manage, but how to repurpose, how to recycle, how to upscale, and how to reuse, in terms of resource efficiency, efficiently use waste as resource, then you know that the sky is the limit for us in Lagos. Every school should be an eco school. I mean, why not? Because it teaches the student how to, adapt to the challenges around particularly pollution and of course climate change. It helps them to also, become global leaders, even while acting locally. They are able to solve their immediate problems. And there's a slogan that says, their generation is going to end poverty, climate change, and hunger.
23 schools in Lagos and Ogun states actively engaged in practical projects focusing on sustainable gardening, upcycling, and recycling, thus igniting a passion for climate action.
Even our project too, it's a teamwork. We're not the only one but I brought up the idea, the hard work, everything. I'm the one pushing. So, and I'm glad we got to where we are now, and we won't stop. We're going to keep doing greater things with the plastics.
Many things that we take as ways that are not useful are really useful for us. That it makes me to look deeper, that there's something useful.
It's very encouraging, even to us, the older ones. And if we can get to as many schools as possible, we are going to see how this will grow.
Some outstanding students and schools were recognized and awarded for their innovative contributions and dedication to environmental conservation. Forests are not only essential for biodiversity conservation, but also crucial in mitigating climate change, providing livelihoods for millions of people, and ensuring the overall well-being of our planet. But rapid our forests.
And when we talk about environmental protection, we don't actually mean environmental protection, we actually mean human protection. Because the environment will always protect itself. But when the environment protects itself, it does that at our detriment. Because we will not be able to stand when the environment protects itself. And that is why we ought to do it with the environment instead of the environment doing it by itself. So a day like this gives us an opportunity for us to reflect on the actions or inactions that we are doing that will be detrimental or will advance the cause of conservation, especially in this time we are talking about our forest estates.
Concerns were raised about the disappearing mangroves and wetlands and efforts to address the worrying trend.
This event is to emphasize the importance of forests and the need for sustainable management of forest resources. It is an opportunity to create awareness about our environment and secure our future. With Lagos State's population, which is growing by the day, we must address the increasing pressure on our natural vegetation, particularly due to housing and urbanization. It's crucial to embrace a conservatory approach to combat climate change.
The event featured a tour of the Lekki Conservation Centre's Canopy Walk, showcasing the beauty of the forests.
The oxygen, different from what you have out there. So if we have this kind of forest reserve spread across the country, everywhere you go, you breathe fresh air and you live a healthier life.
Early this year, there were viral videos of the Canopy Walk not being in good condition, prompting safety concerns. But this has been dismissed as an act of mischief on social media.
The incident that came up on social media, number one is that it was a mischievous social media post that somebody made. So the facilities we have here, the Canopy Walkway, just like every other facility you have, experiences wear and tear. So we have...
Still talking about nature conservation, Kunle Olashupo gives more insights on the significance of forests in our ecosystem.
Is to have diversity of plant. You can see obeche very close to Iroko being close to another mahogany. So that is the beauty of the African forest. In our checklist in our ITA, we have over 270 species of birds. So over 200 you expose yourself to and you build partners, you should be able to know that, okay, this one, home garden, keep home gardens, plant some trees that will not disturb your property, like destroying your fence. 1 or 2 is okay, just for one plot of land is okay, because a tree, it is been proven scientifically that a tree will supply the required oxygen for 4 people. So if you are a couple, you have 2 kids, so you are fine with 1 tree. So you could do a kind of urban planting, let it be sensitized. Also, the government should also contribute to this. They can sponsor habitat restoration, some of this, a very big, fast area of...
Returns in just a moment. Stay with us.
Plastic waste remains a global concern, even though there are numerous strategies being adopted to contain its harmful effects on the environment. Here in Lagos, Nigeria, the situation isn't different, and with an ever-increasing population in a relatively small area, the task may be challenging.
There's a significant reduction in the volume of our waste that gets to the lagoon and the front now, and that credit goes to our governor, Sanwo-Olu, for a lot of work that's been done on our drainages, and at the same time for tenements, for ensuring that they are patronizing PSP rather than Capucha. So the volume that we used to take from our marine team on a daily basis really gone significantly down, way below half now. So it shows that people inland are doing a lot of right things, but there's still a lot more to do.
However, some local startups, organizations and individuals have taken it upon themselves to promote a sustainable environment through converting plastic waste into valuables.
Hi, good evening.
Nice to meet you. One of such is a school teacher, Mrs. Ekpeyang Nduenso, who is fighting plastic pollution through upcycling and recycling. Here at her home, she has converted used plastic containers into planters to grow some vegetables.
My interest in using plastic as a recyclable started in July, 3rd of July 2021, when FEP International came to my school. And they introduced Eco School Nigerian project. And in Eco School Nigerian project, they look at 5 aspects of it. They talk about upcycling, they talk about recycling, they talk about composting, they talk about organic farming and tree planting. And then when we started, they told us that that whatever we found in our environment that we feel that is a waste is not a waste until it's completely wasted. I would say it is a waste. So I was like, how? They now say the PET bottles that you have around you, you can use it for something. So that was when they now brought the idea of turning it to a planter, PET bottle planter and tires planter.
And at her school, where she is the science teacher, she enlightens her students about the dangers of plastic waste and trains them how to upcycle these waste into Ottoman seats.
On the wall. So put this away.
Creating this piece might look simple, but it requires...
YouTube, we're live at TVC News Nigeria. Thanks for watching. Coming up next is Sport Desk.
Stadium. At Monday's unveiling, the NFF also disclosed the names of Coach Sheller's assistants with the crew to lead the Super Eagles B at next month's African Nations Championship in East Africa, before focusing squarely on the 2020